everyone. It's an honor to be here with all of you who have taken this day off of school, off of work, to be here and stand up for our climate. I want to take a moment to talk about all the things that we've heard today. I'm sure you've heard things that have shocked you, things that have inspired you, things that might have been overwhelming, things that might have given you hope. We've heard a lot of things today. So I want you to take a moment and take a deep breath with me to take in everything that you've seen here today. So let's take a deep breath. I want you to think about what happens when we all go home. What happens tonight? What happens tomorrow? What happens next week, next month, next year? We need to keep up this fight and keep it going because this is a challenge that's not going to end in anytime soon. This is a challenge that we're going to face throughout our lifetime. So we need to prepare for a lifetime of action, and especially action right now. We're all here today because we have taken action. Everyone who's here, you've taken an amazing step towards the better future that we want to see. But I want to talk about all the people who aren't here today. We have neighbors, friends, classmates, coworkers who are not here today. And why aren't they? What's stopping people from taking action when we know what needs to be done? We know the scale of the change that needs to happen. We know all the reasons. So why aren't people taking action? There are a lot of challenges and barriers that we face. So today I want to talk about 5 barriers to action and how we can flip all of those barriers to channel them and use them as our strengths to create a more powerful movement that will be inclusive, that will be just, and that will have the power to truly, truly change all the world and all of the systems that we inhabit. These barriers to action were developed by Marshall Gans. He was from Harvard, and he created a whole series of trainings and publications around public narrative and storytelling. So credit where credit is due. The first barrier to action is apathy. As a reaction to a problem so big, so dangerous, so apocalyptic, a lot of people have the response of tuning it out, denying it, being numb, as a way of coping with the challenge so big that it's so difficult to understand. There is an antidote to apathy. The antidote to apathy is anger. Tap into your anger. There are so many things to be angry about. There's no shortage. Be angry about the fossil fuel CEOs that are putting their profits above our lives. Be angry about the politicians that are taking fossil fuel money. Be angry about all the people that have set us up to inherit a world like this. So tap into that anger. And it's not just rage, it's outrage. It's outrage with our systems that have failed us and with the injustices that we see every day. And anger is not something to be scared of. It comes from a place of compassion, of love for all the things that we care about. We love our people, we love our places, we love the places that we call home, and that's why we should be angry. So just to recap, turn your apathy into anger. Thank you. The second barrier that can be really big is inertia. Is anyone missing physics class to be here today? Anyone? Yeah. Does anyone want to tell me what inertia is? It's resistance to motion, resistance to change. An object at rest will stay at rest, you know? We are creatures of habit. It's not easy for us to change. It's not easy for us to go out of our way to pay attention to something that is painful, that harms us, that is really scary to think about. We're also living in a world of attention overload. There's no shortage of things on our phones to look at. But we need to make the climate crisis undeniably urgent, that people cannot afford to avoid it, that people will not be able to avoid it, and that's our responsibility. We need to step up the urgency because we know it is urgent. So the antidote to inertia is urgency. That's right. And just so you know, the change will come no matter if we like it or not. big changes are coming up, So we need to be ahead of that change. We need to create that change, not just react to it. Because if we get ahead of the change, then we can create the beautiful world that we want to see instead of reacting to it. The third factor is isolation. It can be so easy to feel small, to feel alone, to feel powerless when we're up against a crisis this big. But as you can see here, we're clearly not alone. There are 4,500 strikes happening all across the country today. 137 countries. Over 1,114 in the United States alone. Over 73 trade unions and federations, 500 organizations, and 1,000 companies and corporations are all striking today. So we need to keep on gathering. We need to keep standing up for each other, and we need to keep showing up as in our communities, because we don't tackle this alone. We tackle this together. So the antidote to isolation is solidarity. The antidote to isolation is solidarity. Exactly. The fourth one, which can be really difficult, is self-doubt. How many people have ever listened to a little voice in their head telling them, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not wise enough to make a difference, what can I do? I'm not qualified. Let me tell you something. The demographic of people that is most likely to change someone's mind about climate change is not scientists, it's not professors, it's not people who spend their lives working on environmental issues, it's teenage girls like me. So never doubt that you're old enough, or too old, or not smart enough. You are. You are smarter, stronger, more capable, bolder, braver, and more creative than you have been brought up to believe. We are standing here today because of the actions of Greta. And over 1 year ago, in August 2018, she was sitting on the steps of the Swedish parliament alone because she couldn't get anyone else to join her. Can you believe that? And now we're all here today? And I want to speak to why it's youth leading in this moment right now. Youth have moral authority right now. That means that we have a stronger voice than anyone else because we are inheriting this crisis and we can see what is right and what is wrong. And no one can deny that. We have no other reason to do this. I'm not in this for the money, for the glory, for any of that. I'm not in it for recognition, for fame. I'm in it because I want to survive. And that's what's so powerful about youth in this moment. The antidote to self-doubt is empowerment. It is empowering each other. It is recognizing the work that everyone does, uplifting one another, and learning from each other. So I want to thank everyone who came out today. I want to learn from you. I want to thank all the people who spoke today before me. And I want to thank everyone who showed up. You are doing incredible work, and I recognize you and appreciate you. The fifth and biggest thing when it comes to climate that I think is so scary is fear. We have the right to be afraid. It's a scary issue, obviously. And we shouldn't turn away from fear. We need to tap into our fear. But we also need to be courageous. And in order to be courageous and brave, we need to tap into our hope. Now, hope is not going to solve our problems. Hope is not going to save us. And we've heard this from Greta. Our house is on fire. We need to put it out. There's no time to be hopeful. We find hope in action. But we also cannot keep this up without having something to give us courage, something to tap into. So in order to find courage, find what makes you hopeful. I am hopeful because of Greta and people like her who have showed us that we are not alone. I am hopeful because of the Sunrise Movement, who has made the Green New Deal part of the conversation. I am hopeful because of candidates like Christine Clark, who stand up for climate action every single day. I am hopeful for people like Justin, who stood up at Standing Rock to stand for our water. I'm grateful for people like Sophia and people like Molly, who are young people making a change in their own communities. And for people like Cassandra doing research and working on this every day tirelessly to make sure that we have a better future. So we also need to stop thinking in terms of nothing or everything, because those are not our only two options. We might not be able to do everything in our power, and that's real. But that doesn't mean we give up. That doesn't mean we do nothing. We have to do something. We have to fight for a world that we can survive in. We need to fight for our species. All of this will happen. Devastation will happen, fires will happen, floods will happen. Our Earth will survive. The Earth has been around for over 5 mass extinctions, But is humanity going to survive? Yes, we must survive. We are resilient. So we need to believe that, and we need to act from a place of doing something, because we cannot afford to give up. Things have been bad in our country before, and we've been able to recover. We're in a bad moment right now, but we have the power to make a difference, and we must believe that. There's no other option. The pathway through our fear is courage, hope, and vision. It's having a vision for that world we want to see. What kind of world do you want to live in? I want to live in a world with clean energy. I want to live in a world that's beautiful with nature all around us, So we need to start doing things now that move us towards that better, brighter future. And I want you to think about, what is the world that you want to live in? Not the world that you don't want to live in. We all know that we don't want fossil fuels, What do you want? What do you want, So really think about, what do you desire in this moment? And so just as a recap of all the things that I've said today, we need to turn our apathy into anger, our inertia into urgency, our isolation into solidarity, our self-doubt into empowerment, and our fear into courage and hope and vision. That didn't really work out too well. So in this moment, I want to wrap us up by thanking everyone for thinking about these barriers to action. And I want you to think about, what are you going to do? You know the things that are in your way, that they're difficult, but what are you going to do? Because you have the capability to take action. You have the capability to work through those barriers and bring other people into the movement with you. So I want you to take a moment to reflect and think about, what's one thing you can commit to doing after today? One thing. You've heard a lot of options today. Volunteering, voting, registering to vote, standing up, organizing, getting other people to strike. Recycling, all those little things, they do add up. You have to do those too. So can everyone think of one thing? Yeah. Give me a fist if you can think of one thing. There we go. Okay. And I want you, as soon as this rally is over, to turn to the people around you and tell them, here's what I commit to doing. And challenge them. What do you commit to doing? Hold each other accountable and support each other in this really difficult fight. We can do this. Thank you so much.